this person's getting a lot of views, they have a big fan base. We don't really know what it's about, but we'd love to use you, you know? So it's kind of like brands are taking your likeness, like what everyone knows and loves about you, and then tries to put a different message like in your mouth or a different energy. And it's like I mean, I could read the script for you, but this is not gonna turn out the way that you are hoping.
Amanda Steele, welcome to From Vision to Creation. Thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited because you have such an inspiring story. You started your YouTube channel at just 10 years old and were one of the first beauty influencers to really break through, leading to an impressive modeling career, acting opportunities, and then launching your own fashion brand, Steele. You've just been able to navigate an ever-evolving landscape with such impressive growth. So I'm just so excited to dive into your journey, the lessons you've learned, and the career that you've built.
Wow, thank you.
Well, Amanda, let's start at the very beginning. So I know you grew up in Huntington Beach, California, and you were a cheerleader and you played softball. What was your childhood like before YouTube came into the picture? And I guess the reason I ask this is because I want to know, how did you express yourself creatively before this platform was a thing? And did you kind of see your life kind of going in that direction, becoming a content creator?
Well, definitely at 10 years old when I started, there was no becoming a content creator. You just either did it because you liked it or not. But as a child, literally everything led me to that. I definitely was more introverted. I preferred to learn stuff on the computer, play computer games, things like that on my own. I always, for as long as I could remember, wanted to be a fashion designer. So I know at least by 8 years old, I was sketching my own designs, and then I would go on YouTube, and that's kind of how I found, the introduction to that world. But yeah, I just was obsessed with dress up games on the computer, or there was this thing called Fashion Designer World that you plugged into the TV, a TV game. Yeah, I just was really interested in dress up. I guess I wasn't so aware of I want to be in front of the camera. I want to be seen, because it did come from just not really fitting in, or whatever kids my age were interested in and what they wanted to do was not what I wanted to do. So that's why I went online to connect with those types of people.
So that's actually, it's funny because you're saying this and it's reminding me of when I was a kid too. I would pick up the camcorder, I would make these little skits and videos with my friends. I never published them, thank God, because people would probably laugh at me to this day. But also, I think I'm a little older than you. So YouTube, I don't even think existed when I was doing that. But I think that what's really sticking out to me is you're talking about how not fitting in kind of forces you into your own little world. And so you get to be creative and quite literally create your own world through these videos.
Yeah, it's I didn't have the best friend that it seemed like every kid had. And it's really crazy, getting to the age that I am now and being a mother. I've done in the past 2-3 years, so much reflection on how I ended up where I am, and what my purpose is really, where that all came from. Yeah, definitely being misunderstood. I could never really have that connection with a friend I saw everyone else having, probably because I had such different interests and maybe more mature interests than kids my age and around me. That's still true to this day, and that's why I continue doing it, because that is my space, and that's where I am seen and like heard and related to on the things that I care about and all the things going on in my head that I just want to share. Yeah, also like when I was younger, I loved to do like talent shows, except I couldn't sing. I couldn't like, it was just, I liked to perform. I remember I wanted to be a model since I was really young. I would watch America's Next Top Model, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and Toddlers and Tiaras. I remember being so upset that my parents never put me in pageants. Today, I'm thankful, especially because I found my own lane of like getting that experience of glamour and beauty and fashion and just feeling glamorous, I guess.
That is so funny. And when you were talking about being upset at your parents for not putting you in pageants, I'm laughing because I had the same kind of frustration with my parents. I would look at them like, guys, why aren't we in Hollywood? Come on, like, let's go. Like, I want to perform. I want to do things. One time I found somebody that was like recruiting for TV shows, like All That, you know, all those like Nickelodeon shows. And I was emailing with this adult. I must have been like 8 years old. Okay. And my aunt was like, you're talking to an adult, making a meeting to meet up with them without telling us? What are you doing? Are you crazy? And I was so mad at her. But now looking back, I also agree. Thank goodness that, you know, it didn't kind of work out that way because it could be scary.
Yeah, definitely. My mom is a lawyer, so she played a big part in being able to start my channel and navigating it once it became like monetized and there was like brand opportunities. So I was really lucky to have her be able to like look over everything. It definitely got to a point where my mom does personal injury, so she could only do so much related to this stuff. And then I ended up getting a manager who I'm still with to this day.
Amanda, so I watched your first videos, the vlogs of when you went to New York and then your 6th grade makeup tutorial. What was it that what really inspired you to pick up the camera, create these things, and then put them out onto the internet?
I feel like, you know, when you're just a kid, you don't have so much societal like noise in your head. So it's hard for me to even look back and be like, oh, this was the powerful move that I was taking, and this is when I took control of my destiny or whatever. It was just like, this is fun and I want to do it. I've actually been like thinking a lot about what like fun is to me, and I think that plays a lot into why I do what I do and why I might not connect with peers as much, because to me, like, fun is like playing dress up and like living in a different world. I think also the idea that the world can be so much better than what I'm currently in is also what drove me, where I was like, this is, you know, I don't want to live in this world where the kids are from down the street running up, knocking on my door, being like, can Amanda come out and like play at the park? Like, that just was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to edit videos and like talk about my favorite things and the community that I had made, even when it was small. That's just where I wanted to spend my time.
I read that you were homeschooled at 14 years old. Was that a direct result of your career online?
Yeah, I definitely begged my parents for a long time, like a couple years, to let me do online school. I think 7th to 8th grade, like the end of middle school, that it became very clear to me that it was just like heightening how much I didn't fit in and how like the space wasn't for me. I started to get bullied in school because of what I was posting. And then at the same time, I was getting a lot of opportunities for work. So I was going to like IMATs was a thing. Like VidCon even like back that long ago? Maybe. But I was getting a lot of opportunities. I was missing school because of opportunities. And then finally, I think I don't know, from my mom's perspective, I don't know if she allowed me because she saw like how hard it was emotionally on me, or because she knew that this is like what I could be doing like better for my life than being in like a public school. Maybe both, but either way, I'm thankful of it. And I think that changed like everything for me once I finally got to do online school. I could really like commit to the work, except I did learn that only like kind of recently that pushing and trying hard like to keep a career or create like just doesn't really work with me that much. So I definitely was like in a rut a bit, like being alone all the time and like trying to find myself. And like now I have all this free time. I should be working. Oh my gosh, that's like the beginning of the hustle pressure within myself. So in reality, I always have to go back to why I started and when, like how it worked, how I was actually connecting with my audience, where it wasn't like planning all these things out and turning it into like a structure that is work, like super strategized. For me, if I just am living and expressing what I'm living, then that's what does well. But yeah, it's all part of my journey.
Well, I think it's really cool, and it was very brave of you to start uploading videos at such a young age, because I mean, we all know how kids are, especially when you're a kid. Kids are mean, kids bully you. And even, I think it was one of your first videos where you do the 6th grade makeup tutorial, you even mentioned, well, I'm going to disable the comments because I know I'm going to get some mean ones. So I think it's really cool that you felt this need to create and express yourself in that way. And even knowing that you were going to get some backlash from your peers, you still went for it and did it. I didn't, because I was too scared. So I have so much respect for that.
Thank you. And I don't even know, I think that's just something that I was born with. And like this path is like exactly where I was supposed to end up. Because I do remember like some major like childhood memories, of me being like so distraught after reading hate comments, or just like it piling up and it just being a lot. Like I'm a kid, and definitely the whole thing of you don't even really know your own self yet. And then all these people are like judging you on who you are. It gets really confusing. My mom would like always tell me, hey, you don't have to do this. Like you can stop. And like even way throughout my career, like, as I'm older and having a big following, she would be like, you don't have to do this. Like, and I think to this day, most people kind of see that in me, like that are close, that know me. Or it's like, why? Like, you just keep going, like no matter what. And even though she told me like this, you can just do something else with your life. You can find something else that you want to do that doesn't like tear you down so much. I don't know what it was. It was just like the drive in me for continuing to do what I've always wanted to do. And I was like, the idea of like leaving that behind was like not an option at all.
Well, and I'm glad that you're talking about this too, because I feel like if any young creators are watching right now, just because you're getting hate comments, or there are people that don't like your stuff, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. I think that that's just, kind of par for the course, unfortunately. Like if you're going to expose yourself on the internet, you're going to have people that love you, You're going to have people that hate you, and for no reason. So, and I can see like when you're a kid, when you start to internalize that and take it personally because you don't really have a frame of reference, you know, of who you are, because you're just doing life for the first time, I can see how that could be overwhelming. But if there are any young creators, I think one of the lessons in listening to this is continue, even if you're getting the hate, if you love it.
Yeah. And throughout my career, I've had many, many times where I let opinions of others or fear of backlash stop me from truly like fulfilling my full potential. And then years would pass, and then you see like whole new generation almost like of creators coming out, and you might see like them just living authentically themselves and like talking about or doing the things that I was thinking about doing, but I was too scared of. And that was a pattern that happened a lot, like through like, you know, like 18 to like 22, or maybe like 16 to 22. Like that was me being not sure if like people are gonna get it, because it actually really like crushes you as someone that is like so connected to the work and like the art that you make. Like I started this as a child for just my soul, you know, and when there's people judging and criticizing you, you take it like so personally. But what you know and what you love and what you desire, like that's not gonna lead you in the wrong direction. I wish like if I could tell my younger self that was like in this space of just trying to like maintain or like stay relevant, by trying to like fit into systems that already exist, like it's just so much harder to enter somewhere that you're forcing something, you're trying to make something happen. And when you just are yourself fully and do what you love, maybe it's not gonna be like the greatest hit when you release it. But over time, I think things come back around, which I also feel like I'm seeing now. I would just tell myself like, okay, this is gonna come back around, like trends come back around, something is gonna come back around where all the stuff that I've put out that maybe I felt like didn't get the flowers that it deserved will be with reflection. So now I'm like, these videos of my old like Tumblr, Instagram photos to like a song of that time is like going viral on TikTok as like, oh my gosh, like this aesthetic. And then the comments are like, she's always been that girl, you know? I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think it's happening. I think it's like coming back around. I just committed to not like selling myself out throughout the whole thing. That was kind of like my anchor into being like, even if like things aren't going exactly how I want them to right now, I witnessed so many creators like act like without morals, you know, whatever it took, whatever they needed to do, whatever they needed to talk about or pivot their content to stay relevant. That just always felt like so wrong to me. And me staying true to my like ethics and like my individuality, I think, you know, I'm like still kind of sitting in it and go and trusting like the process and stuff. But I do feel like that helped me a lot to be able to like, when a trend comes back around, you know, these people are able to be like, oh, you know, like I remember this. She actually did. It's like a new spark in their mind. And I didn't dilute that with a bunch of stuff that wasn't me.
Yeah, maintaining your image that is authentic to you. And I think it's huge because I think that's a huge accomplishment, because I'm sure, you know, as a creator, and especially when you're just starting out, you start getting all these deals. It feels very enticing to want to say yes to everything. So very interesting that even still at this young age, Amanda, you're able to see, you have great foresight. You're able to see that you can't say yes to everything because then you do lose yourself.
Yeah, totally. And it's not even just like opportunities, because opportunities in this space, it's very hard sometimes to like discern like what is good for you and what's not, because sometimes it's something that like, oh, I normally wouldn't really do something like that, but it's an invitation. It's an opportunity, like maybe I should try that out. You know, more of the things that I felt like conscious choices of not participating in would be like when when the internet like fully shifts in a way. And now this is what content creation is at its peak. And maybe like I don't fit into that. Like, so what happened when I kind of stepped away from YouTube a little bit was when the YouTube like template was just oversaturated, very bubbly, scripted, produced, and that just like didn't align with me. I definitely, you know, I was like, okay, so that's not who I want to be. I don't want to reflect myself in that way. So I'm going to retreat from that space.
One thing that I think is really interesting too, Amanda, is, I mean, you were like, so when I watched that vlog of yours in New York, your first upload ever, you're looking for the Mac store, you're looking for Sephora, you're in Juicy Couture. Like, you were very interested in makeup and fashion at a really young age. And then of course, you know, your channel, Makeup by Mandy, 24. So one thing that I'm finding interesting is that this is a space that has completely blown up right now. And not only were you one of the first young creators on YouTube, you were also one of the first creators, period, to really dive into that space, particularly makeup.
I definitely had my inspos, like Bethany Moda, Juicy Star '07. There were people that I looked up to and I kind of saw like was the path. But they were also a lot older than me, and definitely older like for being at the age that I was. So like they're adults and I am a kid. I think that me being like the first of it relates to being like the first peer, like the first person that is actually the age of those that are consuming the content.
And Amanda, at what point did you realize that your channel was more than just a hobby? It could actually turn into a career? Was there a specific moment where you guys were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, look at these opportunities that are arising from this?
When I was 13, I got my first brand deal offer. That was definitely the moment, but subtly. I just kind of was like, I remember I was sending emails to different brands that I heard from other creators that would send free product, and I was just happy to like have the free product and make videos about it. Then I got offered money, like a significant amount, to make a video. That's where like my mom steps in and she's like, okay, let me figure this out. All right, we need to get you a manager. Once I got a manager, and it was a part of a like network, there's someone there that would sit me down and tell me like, okay, we did like a report on your analytics and this is what we saw. This works best like this. These kind of thumbnails work best. Posting at this time works best. So that was the like real moment, because then after that I could go home and like apply and be like, wait, it's not just like up in the air of like, you know, if I just make fun videos, opportunities like may come. Now it's like, no, if you follow this step, this step, this step, this step, then it will create this, and that, and you can get so many more opportunities.
So what was it like moving from just creating kind of on the fly and just being like, oh, let's see what happens with this video into now this framework that has a proven success record? Like, do you feel that were you able, I guess my question is, were you able to very easily navigate that, or did you feel a little restricted in terms of creativity when following that framework?
A bit of both. I just love figuring things out, and I love
Mm.
technology and like analyzing things. So that was really fun to learn and apply. But then it would get to a point where I'm balancing like my child life. Like I'm going to school, after school, I do my sports. I'm living at home with my family. I have an older sister, just, normal life things. And then that like framework became the standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really hard for me. I would have a lot of like emotional breakdowns, like panic attacks, just like being very overwhelmed with things and feeling like obligated to, I don't know if I would say obligated, but like it's like I need to do it for not just me, like it's for me too, because I want to keep this up. If I didn't try and I didn't do this, that would be like, I would be upset with myself a little bit, because it's like, this is what you're supposed to do. Just do it. But then at the same time, there's now people saying, we need you to post this amount. We need you to edit better. We want this video, or I didn't like how you did this video. Do this video. Then it's just like so much is going on, and I would obsess over things like, I see this YouTuber has the most perfect lighting and the best set. Where can I make a set like that in my house? How can I make it work? And then I'm like alone in my room, like trying to set up all these crazy lights and cameras and stuff. And I'm just like, like, I can't. And that's kind of, when my mom would step in and be like, hey, you don't have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just what I love. And it's feels like I came here to do this for reasons that continue to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just always so important to me. And, this is like my childhood that this is all happening. So these things like also affect you when you grow into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to reflect and be like, okay, where did this come from? Where am I like, why am I living in survival mode all the time?
Mm.
And I've just been practicing like listening to myself and doing things and making things that fill my cup, that like make me happy, and trusting that that framework is what leads to the most success.
And it's really interesting that you say this right now, because I feel like you're answering a question of mine in a way that I've had for some time now, because I see some of like, for example, the podcasts that are out there right now and the topics that they talk about, I just don't find them to be interesting or important. And not all of them, right? Like there are some great podcasts that have incredible depth, but some of the ones that are mainstream seem kind of surface level. And then it makes me wonder too sometimes, like, well, is that what you should do? Should you compromise? Should you head in that direction if that's what people want to hear? But hearing your story is actually really inspiring me and kind of reaffirming me, like, no, stick to what you like. There's a section for you in the internet, right, that will appreciate that. And I think that there's something huge about remaining authentic and creating content that, even if you're working within a framework, creating content that is still meaningful to you and something that feels like it is still authentically you. One thing that you've mentioned several times that I think is really an important thing to touch on too is that your mom sounds like your anchor, like the second you start to feel a little overwhelmed, your mom's like, hey, Amanda, it's okay. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. And I think that is actually a good lesson overall, because at the end of the day, sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. But if you're lucky enough to be in a position where you have a career where you are making your own choices as far as how that's going, it is a kind of a comforting thought to kind of reel it in and say, hey, I don't have to do this. And no matter what it is that you're doing, for the most part, you're never stuck. You can always make a change. So that's really cool that you had your mom there to kind of remind you and, be your guide through this, especially at a super young age. I want to ask you about, how is your family's reaction to your growing fame, especially when you were such a young kid?
So my mom was definitely like, she's just trying to help me through it and navigate a space that she knew nothing about, just trying to protect me, things like that. My dad is like, we're both Leos. So my dad would be like, oh my gosh, you're a star, and show my videos to his friends. Once it got further and I would have like meetups and there'd be like a huge crowd of people like waiting in line to meet me, he just ate all that up. Like he loved it so much. He's like, look at my daughter. Like, my sister was also my best friend. Like once I turned like 15, we were at like a similar enough point in our lives to like be friends. And she was really, really helpful for me too, because I know she deals and like has dealt with her own kind of like outcast vibe in her personal life. And she's so strong and like speaks her mind and like defends people that can't really. So she was like my protector. So I had a really supportive family for this. I was kind of surprised because when I had asked to make my YouTube channel, I just like automatically assumed they were going to say no. So I remember being at the dinner table and whenever I have like a new hyperfixation like interest, which, at this time it was makeup videos and my favorite YouTubers, I just like talk about it all the time. And so I'm talking to her, it'd be like so cool if I could start my own channel. And my mom's like, do it. Like, oh my gosh, okay. Say less. Like I couldn't even believe that that was even on the table. It was a possibility. I think I had gotten a makeup kit, like in the full eyeshadows, lipstick, eyeliner, everything in this kit for Christmas. And that was like, boom, we got my kit. We got the yes from my mom. We're making YouTube videos now.
I love that. And so you start experiencing this success on YouTube, and then eventually you end up transitioning into acting, modeling, fashion. Can you kind of talk to us about how those transitions kind of came about in your life and how you navigated them?
When I signed with my manager, she was like, what do you want to do? Like, let's get down to it. What do you want to do? My answer was create a clothing brand, that was like an anchoring goal for me throughout all of this. But because the way YouTube was unfolding and like we had no idea how far it was going to go, like what this could be, how big it could get. And I just felt really excited to at least try out any opportunity that like seemed cool to me. So as a kid, like, modeling, acting, designing, all types of things. I just wanted to try it all out. I thought I'm young and let me see what works for me. And honestly, it's been kind of hard to navigate when you love like all of it. And then it's like, okay, wait, so what's my thing? What is my thing? But I think it all comes together under the umbrella of like self-expression and like playful creativity.
And can you talk to us about creating your fashion brand Steele? What was that process like? And how is it that you hope people interpret your brand?
I started Steele in 2019. I had partners, so it was like a 50-50 split. They did everything. I came to them though with like finished tech packs for things that I wanted to make. At this point, like I don't know how to draw. or any of those things. But I had a bunch of friends that were going to school for fashion, like in LA at FITM. So I was like, okay, well, I can just ask them. So I did that. And when I met with these partners, I kind of used it as like, I'm serious. Like, and this is how hands-on I want to be with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that went really well. I feel like the brand did great and I was really happy with it in the beginning. Over time, I mean, like COVID happened and a lot of different team members started to come in and out. People were losing the initial like message and purpose and like structure of my brand because they were new and they didn't know. They weren't there for like the beginning, those meetings of being like, this is what I want it to be. This is how hands-on I want to be. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of felt so out of my control and like it was not what I didn't feel like that proud of the things, whether it was like, you know, maybe we were making a piece and it needs another update to it. But they're like, sorry, we got 2 rounds of sampling and this one is going, we're going to sell it and we're shooting it. And actually you need to make sure that we sell it. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, how am I going to sell something that like I am staring at? Like it would be perfect if like this was changed. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm just like really like specific about what I like and, you know, maybe perfectionistic in a way. And I thought, you know, I think I can do this on my own better. I mean, having a lot of money like and support, like team support behind it, of course, is going to make it like more functioning. But I'd rather have like a smaller brand that like fulfilled me and that I was proud of than like a big one, especially because it's my name. Like this is my dream from the beginning. I want to have a clothing brand. I want to name it Steele. You know, here it is. So I didn't want to let my name and my brand like become something that I didn't intend it to be. Mm-hmm. So I took it back from my partners, it was really like easy, parting ways. And then I was like, okay, now we're gonna figure it out ourselves. I found a production manager and a designer. And we would work, and that's how we made the first collection. But after that, there was like having the middlemen there delayed a lot, increased a lot of costs. So for something that I wanted to sell for this price, if I sold it at this price, I'm going to lose money kind of situation. So I was like, we got to figure out how to do this like ourselves at least stop paying who's ever in the middle. And if it doesn't work out in certain things, if I have to learn some lessons, totally fine, because it's me that's doing it, so I can take responsibility of it. So we finished up with those partners too. Yeah, because I was like, we're gonna cut them out and just try to figure out myself. I have an assistant who went to fashion school, so it's just the 2 of us, and we've been in literally like trying everything, all types of avenues. We just started getting things sampled and made in LA. We're like, let's try that out. Because also this is when the tariffs like went up a lot. So we're like, okay, how are we gonna even do this? Let's just try to make it in LA. And everything is learning. Like all of this is learning for me, but the things that have turned out the best are really the things that I put so much care and like attention into designing it. So I learned how to use Procreate to like make design CADs, and now with AI, like there's so much help and so many ways to learn about the steps of making this stuff happen. Yeah, so I'm just navigating it all, but we're actually going to be releasing stuff very soon. We have some stuff from the partners that we were just working with the first collection. And then we have some stuff that we're working on here in LA, and then some other stuff that we're like outsourcing and making. Like the accessories we have made are like the best, and it's like the easiest thing too. So I'm just having fun with it because it's like that's my passion project, and I know that my vision is going to be appreciated. Mm-hmm. It's just about learning how to bring it to life in a way that feels like true to me and what I value, as well as respecting like who my audience is. Mm-hmm. And realistically, I don't like to spend tons of money on clothes all the time. I'm lucky that I can like pull clothes, or like brands will send me stuff, but I'm a like order off Amazon to get a white t-shirt type of girl. So I'm just kind of navigating how to show my art like in its fullest and truest while not being like non-inclusive.
And I'm going to include the link to your to Steele's website in the episode notes. That way anybody who wants to go check out your clothes can just easily do that. And one thing that I also was very curious to talk to you about is, you know, you grew up making your own videos, but then you transitioned into acting. What was the difference between being in front of your own camera and then somebody else's with a script?
It started out as acting as Makeup by Mandy 24. Like that's what I would be on sets for. One in particular that stands out was I did like a teen beach movie makeup tutorial thing for Disney Channel that like played throughout. And it was on that set, even though that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever done, I hated it. Like I hated being there, reading a script as myself. Mm-hmm. That was just like, you know, I'm like all about just like staying true to myself. So if you want me to act, you let me act as someone else. Like I'm not going to act as myself. So that's really when it like started that, hey, not loving this part, but I feel like I'm good at it. Like I'd be able to follow the directions well, understand what's going on in the scene, give a good delivery, you know? So I was interested in acting. I did my first role, like the first role I auditioned for, I got, and it was the main character. So it's a little bit of a not so typical experience for other actors. And it continues this way for me. Like the acting roles that I do are like, they hit me up and they're like, we want you to be in this. And I think I'm kind of accepting it as that and like loving it as that, because it's really who sees me and who like sees my energy and sees that it's gonna fit well into their art. Mm-hmm. And I love acting too. So like now when I can act as a different character, it's like another opportunity to show different sides of myself that don't necessarily fit into, you know, hey guys, it's Amanda, welcome back to my channel.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually a really interesting thing you just talked about, you know, acting. So you're going to act like yourself, but with this script. I could see how that would feel a little awkward maybe, or how you could easily lose your sense of authenticity in doing that.
I think it's also crazy to ask a creator to act as themselves. Like I get it if it's a script because it's for a brand, you know, you got to hit the talking points. These are the things we want to say. But as a creator, your authentic voice is what makes it special.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it could have been really easy for doing a lot of stuff like that, for my name to be like a separate image than who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what we're about. Yeah, I think it is really crazy. I don't know. Definitely during that time, the people that I was working with, the brands and anything big scale, they didn't really have that respect for creators like now they do, where they're like, oh, this is for real. This is where we spend our money. This is who we want. It was like, oh my gosh, I got this opportunity. Like, I got to be just like thankful to have the opportunity. They might have been like, okay, we're seeing that this person's getting a lot of views, they have a big fan base. We don't really know what it's about, but we'd love to use you, you know? So it's kind of like brands are taking your likeness, like what everyone knows and loves about you, and then tries to put a different message like in your mouth or a different energy. And it's like, I mean, I could read the script for you, but this is not going to turn out the way that you are hoping. And enough times where I've done that, like a lot of the acting was, I'm a teen beauty vlogger, and this is my favorite product, and this is my teen bedroom. So all stuff like that where I already was like not vibing with the ultra cheesy, bright, young. You know, I feel like I've been more interested in mature things since I was a kid. So acting there was definitely like the better lane for me.
And I think that goes back to what you were talking about when you were a kid and everybody was, you know, playing outside. You were like, no, I'm going to stay inside and learn how to edit these videos. And then back to, you know, having to play into that teen persona. I could see how that would not be necessarily a good fit in terms of wanting to remain authentically you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's actually like so true to point out. Like, I'm not even socializing. Like, you want me to act like your girl next door, like teen next door, that I like silly bands and playing with my friends and we do this and we do that. It's like, that's just not my reality.
Mm-hmm. And this also goes back to knowing when to say no to brand deals.
Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to give like advice for people when I reference like that time in my life, because there was no conscious like weighing of options. Like it really was just, I don't like this. This doesn't feel right. I want to do something else. Something else comes up. Yeah, I like that. That's what I want to do. I think that I'm trying to live more like that and not overanalyze everything and think too far into it, because it just clouds anything that you're doing or putting out. I think really like the way that I just listened to what felt right, what I liked, said no to what didn't feel right, not because algorithms, not because money or any of the stuff. It's like just genuinely, as a kid, you're not even thinking that deep into it. You're just like, I don't want to do that. And maybe we need to live a little bit more like that.
And Amanda, growing up online obviously comes with incredible opportunities, but also intense challenges. What do you think the biggest lesson you've learned so far has been throughout this career?
Honestly, what we've spoken about already, like trusting yourself and not trying to force yourself into a box. The moment you act out of seeking validation or approval, that's when the purpose, the energy, the connection that you have or you've created or you naturally are able to create gets, jumbled up, mixed up, like fogged. It is not real. Like that's everything that it comes back to for me, where the answer isn't outside of me. It's not in what this creator is doing. It's not in this new platform. It's not in like the data. Like it literally is in my soul. Like what drives me and what brings me joy and what I feel like compelled to share.
Amanda, I absolutely love that. And I could not agree more, because especially when you're trying to pursue a career on the internet, it's so easy to get caught up with what all the other influencers are doing. How many likes am I getting and the views? And I've also noticed that, and I'll be honest, I've even fallen victim to this myself. Like when something goes viral or you start getting a lot of views or a lot of likes, it's almost like this euphoric state that kind of happens. It becomes a little bit addicting. But then for me personally, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I've noticed that after you kind of come down from that high, because let's face it kind of is a high in a sense. It's not a sustainable way of existing, right? Being like, feeling this like, I guess euphoria is the best way I can describe it. But feeling that really intense feeling of euphoria, it's not sustainable. So I've always noticed that every time after I come down from that, I experience a little bit of a low, almost like a hangover, so to speak. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I feel this so much when I work on a singular project that has like a start and a finish date. With acting, a lot. I filmed this indie film like a year and a half ago in New York, and that was like such a great experience for me, and I loved every second of it. I felt like so connected with everyone that was on the set, and it felt like a little community, and we're all working towards one big like creative artistic goal that felt, I was like, this is euphoric. That's what that felt like. And then I come back home and it's like, okay, don't expect to see this film for a year, 2 years, maybe even more. I don't know. You can't even like continue living out of that space because you have to let go of it or else you're going to go crazy. Cause like you don't know when it's going to come out. None of this is up to you as the actor. You just have to like know that you did that, learn from it and like take what you got from it and then move on. But I absolutely like, is there a term for this? Like after completing a project, or it's like if you go on a trip too, if you go on vacation and you come home and you're like, okay, now wait, what do I do? It's like any sort of like really magical like experience, and then like you go back to real life and you're like, oh, well, I really liked how that made me feel. Like how do I get that again? That's where I think a lot of like chasing for like validation and stuff might come from, of trying to like fill that. But I've been trying to just like sit with like, okay, no one knows that you did that. No one is going to see what you did until years from now. So what are you going to do with that? I'm just going to take it as like, it's coming. This is the becoming. I'm stepping into something. Just kind of like holding those euphoric or magical moments like close to yourself as like ways to like continue going, to keep pushing even when it is slow. I've definitely had, doing this for as long as I have, like almost 16 years, almost 16 years. Yeah. It's not going to be just up all the time. Like it's only a certain, you go up, down, plateau, just how it goes for something that is going on for this long. Especially, like there's parts in my life where I want to work really hard and I'm like hustling and I'm posting, I'm doing this. And then I might be like, I'm just overwhelmed and this is too much. I just want to chill and live my life. So then it'll be lower in those points too. I like to always remind myself that it is never too late to reinvent yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not rushing to prove or, share before it's just like natural. Because it's all part of something bigger. Like you never know. If I could be posting stuff that I'm putting all my effort into every single day, and then I'm like depleted because I think, well, I'm putting in all this work. I should be growing by this much. I should be getting like these many opportunities, and it's not happening. Where just like trusting in like the right things at the right times.
Mm-hmm.
And I really have seen now like patterns of evidence of that working where this is what happened with my brand. I'm trying to figure out all the logistics of everything in the brand. And then I'm like trying to compute. I'm like, it does not compute. Like it does not compute that this makes money like at all. It needs way more outside of just making clothes to make the brand make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to turn back inwards of like, what's the bigger picture here, and where are my strengths in supporting this? And I realized that, it's always just like YouTube and connection, sharing my life and my story and things that I've learned. And it's not going to be all uphill all the time. And not rushing to, if it is slow, I have spent all the time that things have been slow for me stressing about, okay, nothing's happening. What do I need to do to make it happen? And then I'm just being so hard on myself, like pushing myself to create, to do more. Then I learned that that's not sustainable either.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to make you money either. Like just by posting to post, but like it's killing you inside. Like that doesn't translate. You're not going to reach where you want to reach with that. For me, I could do one video and I'm just super aligned with where I'm at, where other people are at. I am speaking from my heart, and then, these opportunities fly in and like this visibility happens. I think like learning to love and respect the slow and like still times is so important for like not burning out.
Amanda, this conversation has been incredibly refreshing because nobody talks about this. Some people do, but I feel like more emphasis is placed on, grinding, like working super hard, and people pride themselves on always being busy. But we really do need to take a step back and really focus on ourselves. What is important to us? What is the work that we want to put out in the world? Are we feeling energetic while we're doing it, or is it draining us? Because I feel that it can be very easy to fall into that trap of, I'm going to post just to post so that I can get more views, more likes, another shot at going viral, or whatever the case is. If your end game is just fame and numbers, and it's not sustainable, because it will quite literally suck your soul dry. What you were talking about reminds me of something that another guest of mine that I had on this show said. He was part of a really famous reality TV show, and his career kind of blew up from one day to the next when it aired on Netflix. And he talks about how experiencing that high is euphoric, and which, by the way, you compared that perfectly when you said when you come home from a vacation, you're kind of looking around like, wait, now what's my life? But he talks about how that the ride up is so fun and euphoric, and it's like very intense and exhilarating. But then that nobody talks about how even when your career gets started, you do have this midpoint where you're going to kind of go up and down for a little bit. And that's probably just life, like you said, right? It's life. It's going to happen forever. But nobody talks about those moments enough, because we spend so much time focusing on like the headlines and the sensationalism of going viral or getting famous or whatever the case is, that we forget about the human aspect of it all. So hearing you talk about this, somebody who's been on camera your whole life and in this space, and not to mention just in this space, but as an early pioneer in this space, it's very nice to hear your perspective, because I think that anybody who's pursuing a career in this space can benefit greatly from this perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that everyone should at least try that first before the hustle and grind. There are some people that operate just like with higher energy and higher output, like they can sustain that a bit more. That's just a different type of creator. That might be someone that is, you know, getting a lot of little deals over and over, but they're all one-offs, like kind of like what I've done a lot in the in-between times. And I know that. So like when I wake up in the morning, I could be like, okay, am I going to make my focus today? How many pieces of content can I make and post and hope that they convert into like dollars to help pay my bills? Or am I going to wake up and like think about what makes me happy? What would make me happy today? What would make me feel accomplished? What would make me feel like one step closer to my goal? And that really is what gets me personally so far. So I think it really is like the whole hustle culture being pushed. That's like, you know, like that was my whole trap. I'm like, okay, fine. Like I'll grind. I can figure out how to do anything, you know, like I am capable of editing and creating concepts and like being the face of it. Like I'm capable of doing all of it, but you can't, you know, you can't do all of it, or else you're going to do all of it at a like lower percentage of greatness. And really spending time with yourself to understand like, what is it special about you? And like, what would you do or create even if no one was watching? That is what makes the most impact. I also feel like finally it's all come back around where like we had super produced YouTube videos, then TikToks and like all this stuff. Oh, if you just make it like this, then you go viral. And now everyone's waking up to like, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. And people are just dying to hear someone that like reflects their inner world. And we all are like so much more connected than we might think. That's what causes, I think, us to like second guess like things we want to share, because we think we're the only ones having that experience. But when you take like a risk like that and you speak what has been like on your mind, but you feel like you're the only one, just to like lead with that, that's when like people will see you and they will feel seen too.
What advice would you give to young creators that want to start their career in this space today?
First of all, do not be scared, because it's not too late. You know, everyone who has said that they wanted to start, but they don't because it's so saturated. And I even thought that to be true a few years ago. I thought like, okay, well, if unfortunately you start a YouTube channel now, it's probably going to be a little bit hard to make a following. But because we have so much access to whatever, like if we want to see some mindless content, we can go find that and we can have an infinite scroll of that. We're getting bored of receiving stuff that lacks depth and truth. I think anyone who wants to start creating today, like their best bet is to figure out how to embody their truest self. And the people that are meant to find you will.
And now that you're a mother, Amanda, how has your perspective on your career evolved?
Since becoming a mother, that's really what woke me up to what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what's the deeper meaning behind the desires that you have within this? I have so much more to lose right now because I have to provide for another human being, and I want to give her the life that like I brought her in, planning to give her. But then also it's like I feel like I'm at square one. Like I'm a new person, everything's new. There's nothing to lose. Like by following my heart, trying something different that is authentic, and it's not saying like take a risk where you want to talk about the celeb hot gossip and you want to give your take on this drama happening. Like that's not the risk I'm saying. Like a risk as in like, let me just like be me. I think when we are authentically ourselves, we shine like so much brighter, and you don't have to do as much. You don't have to even really strategize. Like the strategy is just listening to you in a kind way, not to prove something, be better than someone. You have to make sure that it's coming from the right place for it to be received that way. And that takes time, like of just looking inward and learning about your own self.
And Amanda, what's a side of you that people usually never see?
People never see the kind of like mystical part of me, where I love like astrology and everything metaphysical, spirituality, and those kind of beliefs and practices and ideas. Those are really special to me and like really like guiding for me, but I don't really ever share that publicly.
And where's the best place that everybody can keep up with you and everything that you're doing?
You can find me on Instagram at Amanda Steele. My TikTok is amanda.steele24. My YouTube channel, you can type in youtube.com/Amanda Steele. And my clothing brand is steeleofficial.com.
And Amanda, if you could go back in time and offer your younger self, that 10-year-old who was right before you posted your first video on YouTube, if you could go back in time and offer that 10-year-old one bit of advice before embarking on this journey specifically tailored for you, what would it be?
I would just tell her that she's doing exactly what she should be doing and that she's perfect the way that she is. There's no need to be better at this skill or that skill or have better style or have better makeup products or have better lighting. Like, none of that matters. And I spent a lot of time from like this journey of my career trying to like plug in like, okay, I know strategy, I can see strategy and patterns and stuff, like let me try to apply to my videos, my content. And it just constantly, like there might be like one thing that goes well and then I'm like, ooh, okay, wait, it works. And then then it goes away. And then I'm just constantly in the cycle of like bitterness of being like, what do you mean? Like I put so much work into this, or I believe this is really good. Why is no one seeing that? And that's because I'm trying to be something I'm not. So for my 10-year-old self, just like, I just would want her to know that she doesn't need to question what she's doing because it is so much bigger than she could imagine. And that she's not meant to be understood.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for doing this with me today. This was so much fun. I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much.